Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks for popping in. I just thought we'd have another catch up. So if you want to grab yourself a brew, a cheeky snack, nice biscuit or something, I thought it'd be nice to spend a few minutes together. Really excited because we've got a new release at Aall Create, and there's a rather fabulous stamp set called In the Wild, and it's number 529 and it's by Bipasha. And if you look, there's the most gorgeous stamps on here. If you're a bit scared of spiders, maybe don't look too close. But for me, this is the one. Anybody who knows me knows I've got a thing about hares and rabbits. I've got quite a few pot hares and some lovely artwork of hares and rabbits in the house. It's just something, we all have something, don't we? I know there some of you ladies collect pigs and others frogs. I also have a thing about Highland cattle. So Bipasha, please, can we have a Highland cattle? I'd adore that. Mr. Fox is rather handsome as well. Anyway, so I thought I'd share today a quick card with you using the stamp. Now, I haven't done an awful lot to it. I've not added a lot of extra elements. I've not done lots of layering. You could, but I just wanted to show the absolute beautiful work of this stamp. If I bring it a bit closer. And I just thought for me, this was a nice design to do. And again, it's nice and relaxing. And I just thought, you know, sometimes we do need some nice relaxing time. It doesn't all have to be lots of, I mean, we can throw a lot at it. I must admit, I've done a sample with Brushos and he looks gorgeous with a really vibrant background. But maybe it's because I'd made that one that I fancied keeping it quite clean and simple behind him. I mean, again, that's the versatility of stamps, isn't it? That we can take it to whatever level we want. So for this one, I'm just going to start with a piece of card, and this is 5 inches by 7 inches. Just because I thought it gave me the nice stamped image. And again, if you're not sure what size card to start off with, just get your acetate, which I've never filed on the floor. I hope some of you use the floor as well for your filing system when my table's not big enough. Obviously, you get your acetate with your stamps. So just use your acetate, look, and pop it on the piece of card. And for me, that gives me a nice image with some nice white space around it. So that's the only reason I've chosen that size. And what we'll do is we'll stamp him up to start off with. I say a him because he looks like a him to me. And what I'm going to do is just ink him up with some black VersaFine Clair. I mean, I think he'd look good in brown, but I didn't know if that was too obvious. And I quite like stamping in black. So I thought I'll just keep it and we'll go for the black. Make sure there's plenty of ink on there. And again, I have to stamp sideways, as you know. It's just one of my little quirks. So how are you doing? I hope you're all keeping well. I hope you've had a good few days since I last popped in. Things are up and down here. But to be fair, I think that's a sign of life at the minute, isn't it? I don't know about you, but I've had a few friends recently with some that have had bad news. So, like I say, ups and downs. But you know what? We keep going, don't we? I used to say, I put my lipstick on and everything's okay. I've got to be honest, I still put my lipstick on. But you have to wear a mask now, don't you? So nobody knows I've got it on. But you know what? Under my mask, I've got my lipstick on and I am smiling. Right, now don't forget your Aall Create blocks are flexible. So as long as you keep one hand on, don't take both off, you can flex them. And that just means in the middle, often with a stamp like this, you could miss an area in the middle, especially when you've got such detail. So by this way, we can keep that. And then when we lift up, look at that. Glorious detail. Oh, he's so handsome. Absolutely beautiful chap. So I'm just going to blot him a bit because, again, your VersaFine Clair, it's a slower drying ink. Now, there are various ways of colouring him in. I've got to be honest, I think he looks good in black and white. But we're just going to do some nice, you know me, a bit of faux watercolour painting. Now, you could use your pencils. I think it'd look beautiful with pencils. But for me, I just go to my inks and I paint with them just because for me, I've got them on my desk and it's no other reason than that. And I tend to work in twos for my colours. As you know, I'm not a colourist. I purely just have this system because it works for me. So I'm going to paint in brown. So I've gone for a vintage photo and a ground espresso. And all I ever do is put them in my mat. And I put the lighter one near me and the darker one further away. And then I've got a water pot with a paintbrush in. And I'm just grabbing a bit of kitchen roll, well-used kitchen roll. And then I'm going to mix up the lighter colour. And we'll add a little bit of water to the darker one. I want it quite watery to start off with. And I'm almost just going to put a wash on him. And like I say, for me, this is almost just a quick way of getting some colour down. And I'm just going to come round his ears a little. Just round the edge here. Now, like I say, I dare say if you're a colourist, wow, you could colour this absolutely beautifully and lifelike. I'm not a colourist, so I'm just going to put my interpretation on him. And I'm just leaving a bit of white round his nose. And then I'm going to come under here because I think we've got a sign there of a bit of that his body's carrying on here. But I'm going to leave it a bit sort of hazy so we don't know exactly where it finishes. And then what I'm going to do is just add a bit of water to my darker colour and come in where these darker areas. Bipasha's put some darker lines, look, obviously for shade. So that gives an idea of where we can just add a bit of darker for more detail. And if you look, so especially if I do it down there, look how again he's starting to look almost 3D. And again, no skill, I'm just going off what Bipasha's given us. And she's given us a bit here, just almost under his chin there. Got a bit of a beard going on. And I'm just going to put a bit of shade under his dicky bow tie here. Now that's a bit thick for me. If it goes like that and you think it's a bit thick, go for your lighter colour and then just dab your lighter colour over it. And it'll just blend it out a little. Now I just want a little bit more down to his snout here, his little nose. Yeah. Now I'm going to leave that, she says, just adding a little bit more, because I can always come back to that. Put my brush in my water. So now I'll go to my leaves. And the same thing, I've got two greens. So I've got a crushed olive and a rustic wilderness. Quite a lot of difference with these. But again, the lighter one near my mat and the darker one further away. Now again, at home, you could take a lot longer than this. You could really spend some time. I'm just doing almost a quick version. So again, I'm just adding a bit of water to both colours. I think I'm just going to add a little bit more crushed olive. There we go. So with the leaves, what I'm going to do is come in and with the lighter colour, almost paint the whole leaf. I tend to leave, often I leave the edges. I should finish my sentence, shouldn't I? Often we will come back in and add some white highlight at the tips or the edges of the leaf. But I found if I just leave that bit white, it saves me coming in with my white highlights. And again, it's just the way that I like to paint. So I almost put that quick wash on. But I don't go right to the edges. Let me work out what's what here. And then come down this leaf. Let me check if I got all my bit there. I'm going to do the stems. Yeah. So I'll come in now with my rustic wilderness, but it's a wee bit dark, this. So I'm just going to mix a bit with my crushed olive. And then I'm going to come in down the spine and where I've got shadow. Just to give a bit more of a tone. So again, down the spine where it's going to be darker. And again, the back of the leaf there. My bud here. Down this leaf. Now I've purposely put that there. I don't like that. It doesn't look right to me. So I would come back in with my crushed olive and just go over that and just mix it in a bit more. That's better. And then down there. Yeah, that's better. You see how that looks better? So don't worry, you can always come back in with a mixture of the two colours. And then what I'm going to do is just get my finer, I've got a lovely fine paintbrush, and I'm going to come in with my darker colour, and just here, look, where we've got the stems, I want those quite a dark green. And again here, it's one of those things where, and just at the base. Now if you want any more detail, say at the base of the leaves or the back of the leaf there, we'll put that darker. And then here, look, just where we've got shadow, now's the time to just come in almost an edge in these, just where we'd have with that fine paintbrush. Right, I'm happy with that. So my next colour is my pink. So I hope you're following with me. And for my pink, I've gone the Kitsch Flamingo with some picked raspberry. And I'm just going to dry that. I went into my space, didn't I? So I'm going to put my Kitsch Flamingo there, my lighter pink, and then my darker pink there. And for me, I just find it easier working with the two colours, the light and the dark. But as I say, you'll soon come up with your own method. Check my paintbrush is clean. Add some water to the lighter colour. Bit of water in the darker. And then again, with the lighter colour, almost as a wash. You can see I've got a bit of a theme here, can't you? I'm just going to wash over these flowers. And then I'm also just going to put a bit of a pink wash in his ears. Wash his ears for him. Come on, Mr. Bunny. Need to wash your ears. And then I just want a tiny bit round his nose. Just want it to be a little bit pink. Not too pink. Bit of a wash there. Now, this flower here, I've got to be honest, what I did was I stamped the image, the flower, and the dicky bow tie. And I've already coloured this because I thought you won't want to see me colour it in twice. So I've already done that. So what I would do is just put a tiny bit of the wash in case you can see it underneath when I decoupage it. So just round the edges. But you see how quickly it starts to build up, and I think that's looking lovely, and that's going to go on there. Now, the way I coloured this is the same way that I'm doing these. So I've done my wash with my lighter colour, and again, it's the same routine. I'm a bit like one of those, is it a broken record? Mind you, I bet there's some nice youth today that haven't done records, have you? Never mind that, we used to have tapes, didn't we? Cassettes. Oh, and I tell you what, there's nothing worse when the tape came out and you used to have to put a pencil in and wind it. I do wonder how many of you used to have those. I remember when that's all you could get in the car, tape cassette. So what I'm going to do now is come in with my darker colour. And obviously this is more of a bud, so it's going to be quite dark. Now, obviously you can see here a line between the light and the dark. So what I would do is an area here, I'm going to mix my light pink and my dark pink. So it's a bit like when we're mixing inks, when we're blending, we go over the area where the join is. So it's a bit wet. Again, I'm just going to I just want it quite watery. And I just want to dab a little bit in the area around that dark. I still want to keep the dark pink, but I almost want it to blend in a bit more. I don't want there to be too much of a definite line. Now, obviously, what I've got to remember is this card isn't watercolour card, so I can't over flood it with water. But again, that's how I got this here. Now, actually, as this has dried, I think I can get away with a little bit deeper. So I'm just going to add, and again, be Pasha's drawn look where you need the darker bits. And go in the line, the way, look, the way that the flower forms. And she's drawn that for you, so you know where those bits are. And you know here there's going to be shadow because the petal's behind. The same here, this will be darker because the petal's behind. And then that one there, that will be quite dark because again, it's behind. So, you know, she's done all that thinking for you. Now, his ears are a little bit pale. So again, I'm going to come in with a little bit deep. I don't want it too deep. And just add a little bit of the darker colour at the bottom, look. Just to almost give a bit of shape to those ears. And maybe a tiny bit more on his nose. And there, where she's drawn the line, look. She's telling you she wants you to add that shade there. Right. I like that. Look at that, even that leaf that we thought, as it dries. So again, don't be hard on yourself. As things dry, you'll realise that this is so forgiving. It really is. What I just want to do is with my green, just want to paint this lovely little circle here. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to add with this ink here, some green splats. Just to get rid of, I want to keep the white space, but I don't want it too white and stark. I think it looks better with some of these. Now again, if you're not into the splats, you can leave them off. I'm afraid, as you know, I have a thing about them. So I think for me that looks better. I'm just going to mop this up. But I have to say, you know, if you're feeling a bit down, and I know some of you are, I mean, I've had some lovely emails, and I know some of you are struggling. So if you are, this is a lovely, lovely thing to do, and it's so relaxing. And you can probably spend longer than me. I tried to just make it a little bit, I didn't want to bore you, to be honest. Now that, I think that would look lovely as it is. But just a couple of finishing little tricks that we're going to do. And the first one is, where's my washi tape gone? Here we go. I'm going to add a couple of words from the washi tape. Now, I'm just going to use the next two that come because on my original look, I've got exquisite design, and I think that's apt because this is, for me, an exquisite design. But we've also got here joyful and memorable. And I think that's two that are perfect as well. Now, in case you're wondering, this one is number 28. And I think it's called Joyful Words. I try and write it on the inside, but my writing's not always that good when it's on writing on the inside. And I think this is by Abs. So, just going to get my scissors. Now, again, obviously you can tear this, but I find it not very easy to tear up the sides. I find if I try and tear all the way, I can actually lose some of my words. So I tend to cut to start off with and then tear. For me, I can't get, oh, I have done there, look. See, I said I couldn't do it, but I just find it easy if I make a bit of a cut and then tear. I have to do it a few times, it's a long word. There we go. Let's just get rid of this little bit. Now again, for me, the easiest way to stick these on is I stick it to my scissors, and then I've got more chance of, do I want the bigger word at the top? No, the bigger word at the bottom. I think it'll anchor it better. So I'm thinking, let's just put it here, and look, I can get it. I hope my head isn't in the way, sort of straight by using my scissors. And then I'm just going to tuck that little bit under. Right, so let's have a bit of a tear with our joyful. And again, I just cut that there. Bit of a tear. It is funny, the bits you want to stick or the ones you don't want to stick do stick to you. I keep the bits, because we keep everything, don't we, as crafters. I keep them on my mat. Well, I find them everywhere. I think they're a bit like glitter. I think they can get everywhere. I must admit, I've not found Derek wearing them yet, but I dare say there's time. I mean, he does wear glitter very well. I mean, how many times do you find glitter where you don't want? Right, there we go. So we've got joyful. So again, I'm just going to stick it on my scissors just so I can get it nice and positioned. I think I want it down a little. Don't want it too far away from my design, and I want it straight. So there we go. Just going to move those out for now, because otherwise I know what's going to happen. I'm going to put my elbow in them. Now the other thing I have done is added some little from my lovely labelling machine here. I've made some little, now you could either go with the numbers, here look, we see Pasha's given us numbers 2, 3, 4, so I could either add numbers, but I thought let's go with letters in order. So I've got a couple of these. I must admit, again, I keep a few of these in a little pot ready for when I need them. So again, if I just tear the back off, and let's see which one. We'll have this one up here, and we'll have it on top of the word. There we go. And then I think that'll balance nicely. And again, I'm just using my scissors to scrape the back off. I find it easier. And then pop my scissors, and this one's going, oh, it's alive. So this one can go here. Now we need to decoupage this bit, don't we? Now often we put white highlights on. But oh, I've just realised, you know, I stopped dead then because I was thinking I need a little bit of pink, what I've forgotten to do. And I don't know about you, but this would annoy me if I left it. I suddenly realised, and that's why I suddenly went quiet. I was thinking, I just need the little bit on that bud. I needed that pink. Right, sorry about that. I like to be honest, but that would have really annoyed me that I just needed that pink. Right, so getting back to this, I don't want to put white highlights because I think they might be too stark. So what I've got is a silver Signo pen here. Now I've got to be honest, I've got 3 of these in actual silver because I use them so much for highlights. And I just think, if you look, if I just go over where his lovely whiskers are, look. I just think white will be quite harsh, and the eyes. I think if I added white, well, I'm a bit of if I got it wrong, I think it could look quite, well, not very good with white highlights. But again, you go with what you're comfortable with. So what I'm going to do also is add it, look, we've got the white highlights on the dicky bow tie, but I'm going to add the silver and some dots on the flowers here. And I think that will just add some nice sparkle. And I'm just going to add a little bit on his nose and his mouth here, just to make, and like I say, with his eyes, I'll put a little bit on there, not too much, just a little bit on a few of the leaves, as though it's got some nice little sparkly dewdrops on the leaves. Now I'm thinking if we shape our flower like this, look, that'll look nice, and the dicky bow will go the opposite way. So that's nice, isn't it? And the way we're going to put that on is, got some foam pads here. So if I put a foam pad in the middle of the dicky bow, I'm going to take the little sticky off because otherwise I will forget. And then I'm going to use my trusty pin flare, and I'm going to put a piece here, a piece here, and then just some couple of bits there. Now, and if we put that there, push that down a little and that up. So you see, for me, that just adds here. We've got some nice dimension, and this with painting underneath, look, that just looks really pretty. And we're very nearly finished. The last little bit is I'm just going to add some white Posca. So I'll shake it up, and what I want to do is just add some tiny little dot highlights to my circles, look. And then tiny little white on there. And then just a couple of white splats, not too many, and I don't want to add any where my hair is. So there we go, that's it. No pizzas, no more. Stop, walk away. I don't want any splots on him, just around the edge. Now let me put the lid on my pin flay again, turn it up, because you don't want that drying up. And I have to say, for me, I just think that's a beautiful design. And I've got to be honest, I really enjoyed that watercolour painting, or my attempt at watercolour painting. So if I bring the original one in, and I bring the one in that I've done tonight, I think they would look lovely as cards or even in a frame. I think if you framed that, absolutely beautiful. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and just think there's lots of other stamps. Imagine Mr. Fox done the same way. In fact, you could even do 2 or 3, couldn't you? And put them next to each other. I hope you have a go. If you do, please tag me in. If you're on social media, please tag me in. I'd love to see what you do. I really do love to see your work. So you take care. Thanks as always for popping in, and thanks for your lovely comments. Honestly, they really do mean so much to me. Lots of love and hugs from me. Bye for now.